Namaskaram. You're watching Malayalam FM's interview series, The Known and the Unknown, with me, Sindhu Panos. And joining me today, the CEO and founder of Sudima Hotel, Sudesh Jhunjhnuwala.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to our show, Sudesh.
No, thank you for inviting me.
Sudesh, many of our listeners know you as the CEO of Sudima or Hint Management Group. Let us start from the beginning or a flashback. How all of this began.
So, our family from Hong Kong, we decided to start investing in New Zealand in properties. So, my father, he came here in 1991 and he bought warehousing and industrial and commercial properties. And then in 2001, when I moved here, we diversified and we sold a lot of that rental properties, and we got into hotel business. That's because we have a hotel experience. We used to own a hotel in Singapore, which was a 5-star 600-room hotel. So there's the hospitality background. So when I came here, we slowly got into the hotel business again. And that's how the journey started. Yeah.
Nice. When you started, obviously you are a migrant. Have you ever had any self-doubt, or the community around you have doubt in yours? Oh, he's a migrant. How he's going to understand the culture of the guest who is walking in, or how you've been successful in proving them wrong?
So I remember when we bought our Rotorua hotel. I mean, first thing we do is when we buy something, we keep the management on because they've been running the hotel, the manager, the financial controllers and all. So that way there's no change. People don't see that suddenly there's a change of owner and everything, all the culture and everything has changed. But I remember when we bought our Rotorua hotel.
Was that the first one?
No, that's our second hotel.
One. First one was in Auckland.
No, first one was in Christchurch Airport. We bought that in 2000. And then after that in 2003, we bought our Rotorua hotel.
Okay.
And I remember, the financial controller there wanted to meet me. And she said, look, I've heard that Indians don't pay their bills on time, and I'm the one the suppliers will be chasing. And that's something that's very close to my heart, is like paying bills on time. So I told her, look, I don't know who you've been dealing with, but as long as we are able to pay, our bills will always be paid on time. So, and she was very happy to get that assurance. And after that, but another thing is, one thing is to talk, but to action it. I mean, we never stopped any payments just for the sake of, expanding our cash flow or anything. So,
how about catering to the local community, especially to the Kiwi community or the Europeans coming into New Zealand?
No, there's no difference. I mean, hospitality is in our blood. But again, if you walk into our hotel, you'll never see that it's run by Indians. We have a very diverse group of staff. While Indians make up a good majority of that, I would say about 20% of our staff are Indian, which is very common. If you walk into any hotel, whether it's owned by me or anyone, you'll find about that much
20%,
percentage.
25% of
the staff will be Indian. So we are we don't specifically pick Indians, or we don't specifically pick a community. It's all on merit based, and that's how we choose our staff. So the guests don't find any difference. And hospitality is, the culture that we bring, when the induction happens, the culture that we teach them, that this is our culture, the hospitality, looking after the guest. And all that works well in our favor when the guest leaves happy.
Nice. I can see that there are a lot of first in the Sudima Hotel Group. Like you are the first to introduce a lot of ladies' hygiene products. To name a few, I'm just sharing.
Yeah.
The second one is fully accessible design.
Yeah.
What is that thought in you to have that 100% fully accessible, or how does it look like?
Oh, look, it's something, it came about because I was listening to, we met a person, Mini Pargwanath. She is blind, and was a she ran an organization called Be Accessible, and her whole thing was, that you should make all public places as accessible as possible. So, what she said really resonated with us. So we started following her, and she had a whole organization which would come and look at your hotel or look at your workplace and see how to make it more accessible friendly. And so, her team used to come and advise us. And then we used to take that on board, and then we used to add our own things on top of that just to make things more accessible. And we had a great partnership. We learned a lot from them. And that's how, I mean, it's like part of our inclusivity.
It's become second nature.
Yeah, and that's what we've always been, very inclusive. So why should we exclude anyone with any sort of excess needs? So.
That's amazing. And when you design these kind of fully accessible designs, is there anything where you felt, oh, this is going to be really tough, and then finally it turned to be really an incredible achievement? For example, those who have with having that kind of disability guest walked in and they really appreciated that particular design.
I think one thing that we changed, I mean, like the hotels that we bought, we can't do anything because they come built, then we try to change whatever we can. But the ones that we built, we made sure that there was no steps to get into the hotel. Like, normally you pull into the hotel and there are a few steps to walk into the hotel, and there on the side there's a ramp for the wheelchair. Okay, you are the second class citizen, you go that side, and rest of us, we go this way. Yeah. So, it's a simple matter of just convincing architect, hey, we just put a ramp for everyone. So everyone goes up that ramp same way. Everyone is the same, equal. And it was tough because architects love to put steps there, as a sense of arrival. But I can tell you, it's been very well received when people walk in as equals.
Likewise, you have got a lot of firsts, especially when it comes to awards, Supreme Awards, Employee Choice of the Awards. What is that one award which is close to your heart?
I think winning the TIA Supreme Awards, that was in 2019, I believe. That was a very big, that felt very close. I mean, it validated, vindicated everything that we have done, because we won that award on the back of winning the Employer of Choice and Sustainability Choice. And TIA is the Tourism Industry IT Award. So it's your peers selecting you for an award like that, which is
very valuable.
Very valuable. And these are not like, we don't want to be the, best new hotel for design. We would rather be best hotel for employer of choice, or best, best company for employer of choice, or best sustainable, those kind of soft awards have more meaning to us rather than something that's temporary, because today you might win the most beautiful restaurant award, but tomorrow, someone else will be. There'll always be someone else with a better looking hotel or restaurant than you.
Yeah. Listening to you, I can see you're a visionary, and you are also in the board of Entrepreneurs Board.
I was earlier, not anymore. No.
What's your comment about the migrant entrepreneurs? Do they still have that fire on their belly? Like you?
No, look, most migrants come here to make a better life for themselves. Why did we migrate? Like, why did my grandfather migrate in 1918 out of India to Burma? Was to make a better life. And when you come out, you work hard. Nobody comes here to be like, hey, I'll go on the dole. I think most Indians are coming here to work hard. Okay. And they're always looking for opportunities. Hey, what can I do? Like if they see something, there's some gap in the market where I can do some, start a business. I think, most Indians are always looking for some angle how they can run a business, and they take chances, and that's what entrepreneurship is about.
Great. Um, what will be your advice to them using your experience and expertise for the last so many decades you are into an entrepreneurship? What will be your one piece of advice to the
I would say, manage your cash flow well. Because that's, if you, don't be too conservative, at the same time don't be too gung-ho that, hey, this is such a wonderful idea, it will succeed, or, let me tread carefully. I think you have to have a balance of that, and having a good cash backup, because, if your business doesn't, if you might think that, hey, in 3 months I'll be cash flow positive, it might take 6 months, it might take a year. So just be prepared that it can be a slow burn.
So managing cash flow or know your finances is very pertinent when you are an entrepreneur. That's what you are.
Yeah. And you being a business analyst, I'm sure you probably know more than anyone else.
Exactly. What will be your one piece of business ethics, which I want to say, which you will never compromise on? What will be that one business ethics?
Pay your bills on time, because that money keeps the world going round. Like if I don't pay my suppliers on time, it affects them. And being very clear about money, money dealing. It's that one thing which kind of kills a lot of relationship. Be it supplier, be it partner, be it anyone. If you're not clear with money, as in transparent about about the money part, it's that just destroys a lot of relationships.
That's a great quality, Sudesh. I would say paying bills on time. Nowadays, it is very challenging in the current market. When you are saying that, I also seen you make sure that when your business grow, you should give back to the community, and you are involved in a lot of philanthropic activity. How that trait has come from you? Is it your born trait or something you cultivated on the go?
I think, I always saw my parents, my family giving, whenever, and it starts from your childhood days. When I was living in Kathmandu, I remember, we always had a container full of rice, where anyone going past, we always gave a bowl of rice to them. It was, so it's an ingrained habit that, you give something because you can. And now, my wife, she is the driving force behind me, making sure, she's taken over the mantle of giving, and I just follow in her slipstream.
Nice. So, like any business, we all talk about BCP, business continuity process. Can we hear from you? What is your business continuity plan? Is your family or your kids is taking over?
So I professionalized my company about 10 years ago. So we've got a CEO, we've got a whole group of very talented senior members, senior leaders who run my company. I am more of a strategic person. I don't look after, I don't micromanage, I don't go too big into details. So it's a business that can run. I can take a month's holiday, which I wish I could, but it still goes on. At present, my daughter, her name is Kanika, she's joined the business, and she's taken on over that strategic part and the growth part. So while she's there, but she's backed by a whole group of senior leaders who will who support her as well, and I'm still there. So, it'll continue as long as we want to, I guess.
Have you given any golden rules for your daughter to run the business? Like, is there any guidebook? Is that something you should never compromise on?
No, I mean, I think we've always been very, very honest in our dealing. And by that, I mean, we don't take advantage of people. It's a people's business, and we never take advantage of that. You'll never hear us exploiting, anyone. If anything, we actually help out with some migrants who were exploited workers. So, we gave them work and all. So, it's that culture of not doing anything wrong is there in all our, anyone who works with us. And Kanika also, she's very clear about that. If anything, she sometimes she brings in more responsibility, saying, "Hey, let's do this. Let's, So it's good. She also heads our sustainability side, so she's always on lookout for how to make ourselves more sustainable.
Sudesh, like we were discussing about lot of first introduced by the Sudima Hotel. Likewise, is there anything you recently introduced from a technologically advancement perspective?
I would say we are one of the few hotels. We are not the first, but one of the few hotels which have implemented delivery robots very successfully. So, like when you go into our hotel, if you order something from room service, a robot will come knocking and deliver to you, and it's part of not part of reducing our workforce. It's more about helping them, because rather than that person going up and down with a plate full of food or towel or whatever it may be, we'd rather that person is serving guests and interacting with guests. After all, it is a human touch industry. So, but we are one of the few which have successfully implemented it so that it can go up the lift, call the guest from outside the room and say, I'm here.
How was the response received from the guest?
Oh, look, they are fascinated. I mean, kids especially, they kind of go around following the robot.
They love seeing robots. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, and it's a robot that can sing happy birthday as well.
Oh.
So when it comes delivering to your table in the restaurant, it can also sing
happy birthday,
yeah,
wedding anniversary, anything. Okay, nice. Just out of curiosity, I would like to know, your name is Sudesh and the hotel brand is Sudima. Any connection?
Yeah, so it's a brand name that we created, and we mishmashed all of my name and my siblings. So between my sister and 5 brothers, it's all the names have been, the initials have been taken together, and so SU is for Sudesh and Sushila, DI is for Dinesh, M is for Manoj, A is for Anil and Arun. So it's like, so it's very close to my heart. It's
That's very interesting. That's wonderful. Sudesh, you are a business leader and same time entrepreneur. You have taken many decisions on this journey. Looking back, have you ever felt, oh, that decision, I should have taken it in a different way? Have you ever weighed that decision and the outcome?
Look, I mean, as the fisherman says, we always cry about the ones which got away. So, there's always the missed opportunities. You think about, what could I have done differently? I think, but then if you keep dwelling on that, you'll never grow. So, you have to learn from it and move on. But yeah, I mean, everyone has a lot of, the ones which got away, sort of missed opportunities.
That's an inspiring piece of advice. Learn from the mistakes and move on.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, Sudesh, you are involved in the tourism sector and the sustainability in the tourism. Have you ever felt something should have been better as far as New Zealand is concerned?
No, I think New Zealand does a very good job of being sustainable. I mean, we've, now government has, taken out the initiative of Manaki Tanga, which means looking after our, um, environment. So it's being responsible tourist, and that's something we like. When you come on an Air New Zealand flight, you are shown that documentary video of like, be a responsible tourist, and I think one thing that in New Zealand can do better is to improve our infrastructure. I think that's where we are not spending enough money on developing our infrastructure. If you want to get more tourism, we definitely need better infrastructure, and by that I mean better roads, better rail networks, better ferries, better whatever. But we just need
should be better.
Yeah.
What is your future dream about Sudima Hotel or Hint Management Group?
So our intention is to grow, and we want to double in size over the next 5 to 10 years, and not only in New Zealand but even going out. So our neighborhood is Australia and the Pacific Islands. So that's our next step to grow, I guess.
I'm sure you might have traveled across the globe. Can you pinpoint any country where the hospitality or the tourism sector is having the best practices?
Best practices, the difference between Asia and developed countries so there's the low wage economies and the high wage economies. I think you are talking chalk and cheese when you're comparing apples and oranges. So like when you go to Thailand or India, you walk into a restaurant and there'll be 10 staff, half of them are on their phone talking to each other, not looking after the guests. Whereas over here, 3 people will manage that size restaurant, and they'll be running around and doing everything. So there's no such thing as best practice. I think we in India or in Thailand we kind of overhire. Over here we have to
underhire.
We have to maintain your costs, manage your costs. So you kind of hire good people who do. I think the end result is better over here. Over here the guests get a much better experience, and best practice wise, because there's no tipping expectation, like unlike going to US where suddenly now 20% is minimum.
We have recently been to US and we have experienced 18%, 20% tipping.
Yeah, and that's on top of the sales tax.
Yeah, exactly. So in that way we are fortunate to be in New Zealand. And,
yes.
What is that vision, or what do you think when guests walk into Sudima? What is your set expectation the guests should feel this one line when they walk into Sudima Hotel?
So we have a whole mission statement, and that includes the last part of that is you're walking into Sudima Hotel, which is the most accessible, the most sustainable hotel, which runs the most accessible and sustainable hotels in Australia, New Zealand. And we want you to have to be able to make the best of your day. So making the best of your day is our goal.
To achieve that goal, do you feel stress in a day-to-day activity, and how you unwind yourself personally?
Oh, I think for me, New Zealand is such a wonderful place that you can go out. We are so fortunate that you can go out step out of your house, walk along a park, walk along a beach. You can do any of that very easily, and it's very accessible. So, and it's clean. So, that's one way to de-stress. Second way I like is meeting friends. I'm very comfortable. I'm a social person, so I want to be around friends. And I've got a small group of friends which we try to meet.
On that note, thank you so much for sharing your vast knowledge, your entrepreneurial skills, with our listeners, and I wish you all the best, Sudesh.
Thank you for inviting me.